stay positive and determined.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Welcome to the Talk About the Magic podcast, where you'll find inspiration and encouragement tied together with the magic of Disney. Now, here's your host, Joseph Ballesteros.
What is going on, Magic Cheers? Welcome to another episode of Talk About the Magic. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Thank you so much for taking the time out to download or stream this episode. It means so much to me, and if you enjoy it, please be sure to share it, because that's what this episode's all about, or this show, I should say, is all about, inspiring, encouraging others. So sharing it to someone else to help encourage them will definitely help the show out, and let me know that I'm doing a proper job. Today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. Jay Ratner is an artist who works for Disney. He has, you may not know his name, but he probably has, his work has probably graced your computer, your iPad, your phones, smartphones, to some extent. He does some amazing art and has been featured quite a bit on the Disney Parks blog for the artwork that he's doing. I'm very excited to have him on. Of course, we're going to get into his journey on how he, went from how he started getting into art and that style of art form that he's doing all the way to where he is now. So I'm very excited that he's on the show today. Before we do get started, though, I do want to just kind of bring up something that I noticed this past weekend. I always ask you guys, and I'll ask you now, please, if you enjoy the show, take some time out. It takes, about a minute to just give a review and a rating. The review could be, good, bad, as long as it's obviously constructive. I don't want something to be so just mean. But I do got to say, I did get some constructive criticism, and I really, really appreciate it. I'm not going to say the name or anything on here, but it was through a review, and I read it, and I thought this is fantastic, because it really was kind of letting me know some things that even I felt I could do better on, and that kind of brought it to life. So I really do mean it, guys. Please be sure to leave reviews. Be sure to comment. Let me know how you feel on certain episodes. Maybe if you feel like I'm kind of just going off topic too much, or if you feel like it's good. Either way, just please be sure to let me know. I really appreciate your feedback. So again, thank you for leaving the review and the comment there, and letting your opinion be heard. So it really does mean a lot. So again, I encourage you guys to please go do that. Now, without further ado, let's get into our interview today with Jay. Hello, Jay. Thank you so much for joining me in the Magic Cheers today. I'm very excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. Now, I have been a fan of your work. As I mentioned before we started here, I've had your work on my phone, I've had your work on my computer, and I've had your work on my iPad. So,
thank you.
People may not know who you are as far as the work that you've done, but somehow I wouldn't be surprised if somehow, some way they do know who you are based on your work. So before we get deeper into that, of course, could we just get a little brief background of who Jay is?
Sure, yeah. So I currently work for Disney doing graphic design. I grew up in New York, moved to Florida in 2016, where I was doing an internship for Disney. I'm sorry, I said 2016. 2006 is what I meant.
This is the stuff that I like to keep in, because it shows that you're a real person.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that's really wrong. So yeah, in 2006, after graduating from college, I moved down to Florida to do an internship at Disney, doing graphic design work. So that was really fun. I didn't actually stay on with Disney. I had left and gone to work for a bunch of other companies in between, all while trying to get back to Disney in a design role. So yeah, and then today that's where I'm at. And then I'm a husband, I'm a father. I love pizza. Yeah, I mean, I've been, ever since I can remember, I've been, always drawing and doing different types of art, and, it's just kind of spiraled, and, I don't know, it's all been really exciting.
So, and we're going to get into that, because that's something I wanted to bring up, as far as, how you got into that, but that actually leads into the next question, which is, where did your interest even come from when it came to art?
I mean, as far back as I can remember, I mean, Disney was just a huge part of my childhood. And so, I mean, I was always, tracing out of a lot of the Disney books that I had, tracing the characters. And, usually when I was drawing, the topic was always, Disney. And it was always doing art that, referenced Disney. And it was all, driven from that. But I mean, even earlier than that, I can remember, and my parents would help me remember this, but, my brother was taking art classes, and he's 3 years older than me, and I was probably maybe like 6 or 7. And I was really jealous, and I, was always wanting to, take art classes too. And he ended up, not pursuing it. And then, I started getting more into it. And even, from a really young age, I was, just always drawing. And, again, like Disney was just a huge part of that. So ever since then, I mean, my goal has always been to work for Disney and, pursue art and design with them.
I love that. Yeah, I can remember I had a Pinocchio coloring book that I took with me everywhere I went. I would trace over it. I had the same idea behind but I didn't, of course, really appreciate how much work went into things like that. But I wanted to do that, and but yeah, eventually kind of went away, and I actually got into music. So anyway, that's a whole different story. Anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, but I mean, no, but it's like over time, your interests evolve, and
exactly.
It really is. Everyone's story is different, but I remember, anytime a new movie came out, obviously I had to go, and then, they weren't the large golden books at the time, but they had those other large, Disney books that basically told you the story of the movie, and I always had to get those because I knew it would be like, another great opportunity to start like tracing the characters and, drawing, from there.
What's funny too is, and I think that's really interesting to bring up, because I actually know a couple of people who I'm going to make sure to tag them with this show, because they have their own dreams of being able to work. But what's funny is I remember there would be times where I felt like tracing was cheating. And
I know.
And I would try to draw beforehand, but of course now I realize, like I see my kids, for instance, that sometimes they'll try to not trace; they'll try to just draw freehand. But I actually encourage them to kind of trace first, because I think that builds a very strong structure of knowing. So, but it's funny because growing up I was like, I don't need a trace, but of course my drawings were terrible.
No, but eventually, if you're, when you're doing it all the time, and you're, eventually starting to do your own thing, and then, it really does just help you, kind of learn a lot about, how those characters are drawn, and, perspective and all that kind of stuff. So, it's definitely an important part of the learning process.
So what are some things that you kind of feel helped you to get to where you are today? Some stuff that you had in your journey. Was it that you went to the school? Did you kind of go to college to focus on this kind of stuff? Or was it just strictly kind of just every day, I'm going to draw something. I got to draw something every day to kind of get better at it?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of everything, because I actually took my first, we always had art classes, in school and stuff, but in my senior year of high school, I took my first graphic design class. And so that was like the first introduction of really taking my art, and transferring it onto the computer, and then, opening that whole new world of, opportunities there with that. So from there, I was really, that totally sucked me in. And I was just like, wow, this is something I can definitely see myself, doing more of. And then I, went to school to pursue that. And so, for me, schooling was a really important, part of it. And I did, however, take a semester off so that I could do the Disney college program, which was a really great experience. And that was, the college program was sort of, not that you weren't doing anything related to your major specifically, but for me, knowing I wanted to work for Disney, I was determined to try and, network and figure out a little bit more as to where in the company I could see myself, being. Because I actually just worked at All Star Music front desk and was doing that for the 8 months.
That's way different than what you're doing now.
Yeah, but it's like it is, but I really appreciate having the love for the company that I do. I really appreciate having that experience, and I definitely think you learn a lot about a whole other side of things that you don't always get to see or hear about. So, and that's actually on the college program is where I met my now wife, who
Awesome.
had we not done that, we would not have met. So I definitely owe Disney a lot.
I love that.
So
Yeah, I love looking. They say hindsight's 2020, and I love looking at past things that happened where I say, "Oh my gosh, if I had never done this or I had never been in this place at this time, this would have never happened." And so I love that you were able to meet your wife at Disney. Of course, that just helps solidify. So you don't sound like a mad person when you're talking about Disney with her. She totally gets it. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, she's on board. But yeah, and then from there I went back to school to pick up where I left off, and then I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn studying graphic design and communication art, and so I graduated there in 2006, and then did the professional internship, which was geared towards graphic design, and we were doing a bunch of other things as well, but it was primarily focused in design, and got to dabble with a little bit of everything in that. But that definitely gave you like the first dose of like the real life experience working for Disney with something that's focused in your profession. So I definitely recommend, for those that are in school or, finishing up that they want to work for Disney or even any company, like internships are a really great thing. And especially the ones at Disney, I really feel like, you do get thrown right into it, and you're just, just another, cast member doing their job. And it's really, a great thing that Disney offers.
I've had a couple people on here who've been a part of that, and yeah, I don't know why. Growing up, I'd never heard about it. I'm talking to so many people who have done it. They rave about it. Like you said, it's an awesome way to get your foot in the door. And I'm just like, why didn't I know about this?
Yeah, I know. And it's evolved too since even I was in school, and I was so passionate about it that after my first college program, I stayed on to do like being a campus representative. So I was promoting the college program at my own school and other schools, and going around kind of, talking about what the internships were about. So,
awesome.
So yeah, I'm a really big fan of that program.
So everybody listening, guys, especially if you're on that kind of verge of what you should be doing in school, or maybe you don't know what, definitely look into that, because I think, especially if you have a care for Disney, that's going to kind of see whether you even want to get into something with Disney, maybe, because you might not even enjoy it, but it definitely seems like a great way to kind of see what is possible there. And I love, of course, hearing the stories about John Lasseter and stuff, how they started and where they were at working at Disney before they got to where they are. So it really is about learning, like you said, being able to see a different side of things, and starting from wherever they feel like you need to be starting, and learning from that. So
yeah, definitely. And I just kind of touched on it earlier a little bit, but I did finish that internship, and there really was an opportunity for me to stay on doing, the design work and such. So, which, every internship is a contracted position. So there's an end coming, and so not all the time is there, a place for you. So to stay permanently. I was working at other companies, for a few years until I was able to get back to Disney. And so, with that, I kind of just looked at it as opportunities to, build my portfolio, find myself, or putting myself in positions that I felt like was still going to, be exciting opportunities, even though it wasn't Disney. It was still, something that I needed so that I could, build my experience, build my portfolio, and make the best of, every, other job that I might have up until, getting into the company that, I've been looking to get into for a long time. So, it's.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You bring up a good, interesting point that I do kind of want to touch on, and I warned you I might ad lib a little, but I just had this fine. I had this idea what you were talking about right now, and of course you don't have to get into too much detail because obviously where you worked and stuff. I don't want you to necessarily say names if you don't want to, but can you kind of go over that mindset? Because for a lot of us, I feel like when we have this idea, we have this goal, a lot of times we get distracted and we get comfortable. We get, comfortable where we're at, and we kind of lose sight, or maybe, we feel like it's a little too, we don't want to rock the boat anymore, trying to reach for that dream and the goal that we originally had. So, you're working at different companies, and, you had this idea, though, that you wanted to be where you're at now. So how was your mindset there? Did you ever get tempted to say, you know what, this has a good opportunity, I don't want to, necessarily do anything that's going to mess up my life or my finances or anything like that? Or did you just say, you know what, head down, no matter what, I'm pushing through because that was my goal and I'm going to keep fighting for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough to swallow at first because, of course I was really upset that I wasn't, I was still staying in Florida because I felt like I needed to be close to Disney should something come available, and I knew I was going to continue to pursue looking for stuff. But, there's only so much you can do, so you kind of have to make the best of the situation that you're, handed, and you kind of need to still stay determined, don't give up, and just look at each new opportunity as, a way that you can, explore and expand on your skill sets and figure out what it is, you need to do within each type of, new job that you might get, to kind of like help better yourself and, again, build your portfolio. And, I did have some really great experiences working outside the company and, working at, different places and meeting different people and doing things that I never thought that I probably would have, where I, right after the internship, I actually worked with, a trade show design company, which, was something I never imagined myself being in, but I did. There was a lot of, now looking back, there's a lot of similarities of things that I did back in that job that really helped me understand and do a better job of some things that I'm doing at Disney. And there's a lot of, I think things that you can compare and, make sure that you're, making just the best use of your time and stay positive and have a real positive outlook and know that eventually this is going to help you, reach your goal if you, just stay determined. And it does get hard. I'm not going to totally say that everything is, perfect and happy all the time, but, you just kind of have to learn to stay, persistent and, find ways to continue to do other art and stuff that is going to help you, get to where you want to be.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the hardest things, because it's a show I kind of talked about before, where it's dealing about distractions, in the sense that distractions sometimes are actually a positive thing in our life. We sometimes think of distractions as negative, but sometimes they're a positive thing in the sense that you are making more money at this job maybe, or you're in a place that you want to be per se, but in the end it's not that goal that you were trying to reach. And it's funny because not to say you wouldn't impact lives, or not to say you wouldn't, not to say you wouldn't have had a good life had you stayed where you were. But it's interesting because you kept pushing through toward your goal. And like I mentioned to you, and it's no little thing. It's not to say that, it's not a big deal, because to me it is, because I think what you do is a really big deal. So to see that, had you not done that, I wouldn't have your art on my phone. I wouldn't be able to show your art to my kids, and we wouldn't feel happy where we're at, because we're not close to Disney. We're in Texas, so we wouldn't get that magic feeling, because we wouldn't have what you're sharing. And so to me, it's interesting, because I just it concerns me, because I think how many people gave up on that dream that could have impacted so many more people had they just really kept going. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I like I said, I know that you probably had some good times during that time, and so I thought, well, how did you push through? But like you said,
And I mean, you will be mentally exhausted too, I'm sure, because it's knowing that, okay, I'm not where I currently want to be, but I want to be successful in what I'm doing right now, so that I can better myself, better my portfolio, and look at things in a very positive light, and trying to just make sure you're putting yourself in positions where it's, going to be better for you in the long run. And so even if, let's say it's not exactly what you pictured, there's definitely things that you can do, on your own time, and, maybe for others in freelance work and stuff, that you can find projects that, in terms of design and stuff, you can find projects that are, going to help you maybe do some more of the type of art that, you really love to do. And, there's definitely a lot of ways to kind of, explore like, freelancing and, doing some other types of art to kind of expand, the versatility in your type of work.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's
one of the, I was going to say, and I love the word you said, because mentally frustrating is very true when you're trying to reach that goal.
But that is a good thing, it kind of does. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deal with, or it can be hard to deal with, but it definitely helps you get more determined, and hopefully, you can push through that and figure out, what to do next.
Yeah, guys, don't quit on that goal. Keep going.
Definitely not.
So let's get a little real right now, Jay. What are some frustrations, that you come along when you're creating your images? Because I know it can't all be just everything is perfect. Well, maybe it is everything is perfect when Jay gets a pencil to a paper. But what are some frustrations that come along when you're creating these images? Because they're very complex. I mean, they are. It's one thing when I see a Mickey drawing, but your stuff has so many details in the art, and so I'm just like, this could not have been something he did like in 20 minutes, like this.
No. Gosh, I mean, every project is different, right? So I mean, there's but there are definitely challenges with every single project, and you definitely have to face them all a little bit differently and assess kind of what the end goal is for this particular one, and so I think, the beginning, I kind of, obviously you need to sort of paint a picture for yourself of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And then, along the way, it's sort of, I don't know, you kind of like have to push through some self-doubt in the beginning. It's like, okay, I got this great concept, now I need to execute it, and you're sort of hopeful that you can. And I think some of the challenges are whether you come to a point where you want to have something achieve a certain look, but maybe you're not quite sure how to do that, and then that means you need to kind of like stop and figure it out, go look up some tutorials or ask for advice from others. And sometimes that definitely can put things on hold. Like some of the things I do don't take just a day or two. It's over the course of a couple months, or even closer to a year, just depending on the project. And you're kind of like picking it up every now and then, especially for some of the stuff that I'm doing on my, the personal projects and on my free time. And those, I kind of pick them up as I go along. And so it's sort of that pressure on myself that I put to kind of like get it done and get those struggles that I'm having figured out, and, find out where the best way to source some of those solutions is. And so
it kind of sounds like you need patience.
Yeah, you definitely want to be patient. Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, I could have just said that. Be patient with yourself, and and certainly we don't always get that luxury, and in my role, we, there's timelines on projects, and you want to be sure that the expectations that you set are realistic, but you also don't want to hold yourself back from trying to do something new and exciting and fresh. You just kind of have to learn how to balance that. And I think that's, important, whether it's a personal project, freelance project, or for, your real work. Definitely finding that balance of all that is important. And so, but yeah, I mean, overall, you kind of have to look at every project as a new opportunity to do something great, and sort of, push the envelope, do something a little different, and, challenge yourself, because that's the only way you're really going to get better and be able to do some new great things.
So how much would you say your actual mindset has changed since you started? I mean, let's go back to, that first day that you got, hired on, because I know that kind of pressure, probably while it was ecstatic and exciting and fun, you realize, oh my goodness, I work for Disney now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I probably felt sick sometimes, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot of pressure, and so I think, and part of that is putting it on yourself because you want to be successful in that, and the role that you're doing, and so, gosh, I mean, I think, kind of like any job that you might have over time, you begin to, get into a groove, and sort of you learn the business and you learn the process of, the way things work within your team and stuff like that. And so that, those things you learn over time. I think, though, still with your design work, I still feel, with each new project, there is, a feeling of, I guess, still pressure and, stress that you might put on yourself because you want it to be great. And, I don't think that ever goes away, because I think you want to have that stick with you so that you're, staying, current, and you're staying, keeping things like,
well, you don't ever want to lose
them the best that you want to be.
Yeah, you don't ever want to lose your edge. Like, you don't ever want to just think like, oh, I got it, I know everything, it'll be easy. And it's like, no.
Yeah, and depending on what it is that you may do something that okay, it's sort of not a repeat, but a different version of something you've done before, and that's fine. It's just about looking for the right opportunity to do the right type of new and fresh thing for each project. So I think you just gotta have to stay focused and try to be confident in the work that you're doing, and just kind of be determined to produce great work.
Yeah. What would then be your suggestion to someone who wants to start working with and like art or digital design in this way? Obviously we all have endpoints. I'm sure many of them would love to work for a company like Disney or something like that. But what would be kind of your suggestion, more of a technical, suggestion, as far as like, should they be going to school? Should they, just keep practicing? Should they be spamming everybody with their art, leaving it everywhere? What would be some suggestions for them?
Well, I guess, for the technical side of things and just like learning about design, I know, school is not an option for everybody, but, most all of us have the internet. There's a lot of like tutorials and websites that kind of give you at least the base of sort of what you need to know to use some of these design programs like the Adobe Creative Suite. And so really like, dive in deep to all of that, because that's kind of really where you need to start to, really begin creating, the different types of work. And so, and over time, you can develop your own style and develop, work that becomes, recognizable as, the type of work that you're going to end up doing. And so, there's definitely a lot of that. And social media is a really great tool to kind of put yourself out there. So any of the work that you are creating, definitely share it, post it, and make it available for people to see, so that and it's really not to gain any sort of reaction. It's really to kind of do it for yourself. And but I mean, there's the internships I think are really important. Like I said, if you are in school and you do want to pursue a role at Disney, definitely look into those, and I think you can start even right before you're planning to graduate. So even if it's not the time for you, you can definitely still start looking into it and seeing for the future what might be a great fit for you. This way you're already prepared for it. So those are some of the things I would say.
Those are some solid points. If I'm an artist, I'm definitely paying attention there, because especially with social media, like you said. I mean, it's a fantastic way to kind of break that mental barrier of being shy or nervous of somebody else seeing it. It's like, if you put it up, and let's just say it just doesn't go the way you thought, you could always just delete it, per se, from your account.
Yeah.
And something like that. You can kind of break through.
Sometimes you feel like, it's the end of the world if it doesn't, get whatever amount of likes. I don't know. But I mean, it's really, about just sharing it with others and,
For sure.
I don't know. It should be more of a fun thing than a stressful thing,
Definitely. And like I said, for me, just with, your work, and I've, had Jared on here, I've had a couple of other artists. The styles that y'all have it's incredible. It's weird because it's like, how many ways can you draw a Mickey Mouse? But y'all figure it out. Y'all figure it out. So it's awesome. Y'all do a great job. But
thank you.
It's now time to get into our Disney Power Round.
And now it's time for the Disney Power Round, where we talk favorite parks, tips, and tricks for your magical Disney trip. Let's bibbity-bobbity do this.
Awesome.
All right, here we go. So, what is your favorite park and one thing that you love about it?
Hands down, Magic Kingdom. And I really just love walking in and seeing Cinderella Castle. It's kind of just something I get a feeling every time it happens. And so I just, for me, that's just like, a great moment any time I walk into that park.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing sight to see. And I've not yet been able to eat inside there. I've heard good things, but we always end up going to be our guest, and I tell my wife we gotta make an effort to go there, just because what else can you eat in the castle? Like, that's amazing.
I know. I have not been in a very long time. It's disappointing.
Now, what would be your tip for the first time Disney goer?
Do your research for sure. I mean, it's a big place, and obviously everyone's going to have different tastes. And so even if you're not the planner type, at least have a loose plan in place so that you can, have something to go off of. And should you choose to deviate from that plan, that's fine. But I mean, we have so much to offer here. I think, even if it's just reading through our website and just planning things out loosely, it's definitely going to be helpful.
Structure is a good thing to have going to Disney, for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Even if it's just for a day, like it really, it's just helpful.
This is my thing, guys. I ask, people like Jay here and other guests this question because they got the experience. They know what they're talking about. These people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you live there. You visit the park. Like, so when you're saying, as a person who lives there, you should plan it for a first-time visitor. Guys, pay attention. Plan it a little. You're getting some structure. We're trying to help you out here, so that's great.
Because even because I live here, even though I live here, we still plan things out. Like, you just, it's as busy as it is, and with. Sometimes your time is limited on what you have. You really kind of just want to be, mindful of all of that, and you want to make the most of it. So why not just get it all planned out?
Sure, exactly. So what would be your tip then for somebody who goes to Disney multiple times?
Gosh, I mean, I guess it kind of piggybacks off that, because I feel like sometimes when the more you go, you think maybe you need to plan less. I don't know, but I think even for that, they should still make a plan. But maybe it's more of like a recommendation. I would say, look for the things that are new and try to accomplish those first, so that, since you've been before, it kind of like gives a nice fresh kickoff to your trip, and you're not that doing, you come back to do the same things, but, even if it's just going to one of the new restaurants or eating a new dish at a place you've already been before, I think that really kind of helps, add a new level of excitement to a trip, where you've already done a lot of the things before. Yeah,
that's a fantastic tip. I mean, just recently, why not make plans to go check out the new Happily Ever After that just started?
Exactly.
Or the Pandora that's about to open up. So definitely, yes. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, I mean, I know you weren't able to see it. Because we were on the same live stream together watching. Shout out to Serena.
Yeah.
Shout out to Serena at Living by Disney.
Yes, hey, Serena.
But
Yeah, she actually provided the music to our backyard viewing of Wishes.
it was funny. Yeah, I told her. That's what I said. I said my family was huddled around our phone watching it. Because it's a for us, like we don't want to get too deep into the rabbit hole, but for us, Wishes obviously it holds a dear place in our heart because it was our first trip as a family, going there and then being able to see my kids, react to the way they did. So obviously, it was a very tough thing when we found out that they were not going to be carrying it more, but at the same time, like I've said before, Disney has such a unique way of somehow helping us to, not to say forget it in a negative way, but somehow helping us to enjoy the new. They're bringing a new show that I know a lot of people are like, well, Wishes, yeah, I wish this was a special place, but Disney has done such a great job to make new things even somehow better or create new kind of memories. So I'm very excited for the new show when it comes out.
Me too.
Sure. Okay, we won't go down that rabbit hole though. Okay.
Nope.
So for our last question here, before we get into our last question, I should say, where
Sure.
would you like for people to find out more about Jay? I know you got Instagram, you have your website, but where would you like for people to head to?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely check out my Instagram. It is jratner81. And then my website is jratnerdesign.com. So yeah, I mean, those are, kind of the best places, I think, to look.
Yes, and I'm actually looking at your site now, and you have some pretty sweet
awesome.
pieces there. And that's what I was going to say, though.
Thank you.
You don't actually sell them, though, do you?
No, I do not have work for sale.
So this is strictly just to make people envious of what they can't have, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, a lot of it really, so again, like, my biggest passion that I have is for Disney. And so a lot of my projects that you're seeing on Instagram and things like that, they're my own personal challenges to myself to do new and fun, exciting things with, with Disney, because, it's just what I love. And there's other things that I do too on there, but, it's really just, passion projects that I'm working on, and it's, fun and exciting for me. And then I love being able to share that with everybody.
Yeah, they're definitely cool to check out. So you guys, be sure to go check that out. Now, of course, that'll also be in the show notes too. But now, for the closing questions, I do want to leave listeners with some advice from you. I'd love for you to give just some advice, some encouragement. Maybe they're on that verge of pursuing that passion, or maybe they're kind of in a comfortable place too, where they kind of lost sight of their original idea of what they wanted to achieve or accomplish. But
Sure.
What would be some advice that you would give to them?
I mean, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit before, but I would just say, don't give up. And so, whatever it is you want to achieve, I think in some ways maybe you're not doing it at this moment, but in some ways maybe you are, and it's just, you're doing it a little bit differently with a different company. But, stay focused on your goal, but also, do things that are going to really, help you achieve that goal and make the best of, the job that you're in at that moment, or, anything else that you might have going on that really can, help yourself get to where it is you want to be. And I think it's important just to not lose sight of that, and, stay positive and, determined, because I think, there's definitely a lot of ways that you can, even if you are in a job where maybe you're not doing the exact type of work that you see yourself doing in the future, you can definitely look for opportunities to kind of either do personal projects on your own, which is a great thing because you're kind of in charge of that. And so that's a really great thing that you can be doing if it is art related, but if not, I think it could apply to really any other type of profession. But yeah, just definitely, be determined and stay focused, and, don't give up on that.
I love that. And again, guys, this is why I love having guests like Jay on the show, because they are doing their dream. They pursue their goal, and it's not to say that it's all over for them. I'm sure they have other dreams that they're working
definitely
toward.
not.
Yeah,
Sure,
I'm sure
yeah,
they got
it's
other
definitely
things.
not. I wanted to bring that up because it's I'm at Disney and I love it, but I mean you definitely want to keep growing and doing bigger, better things later on in life, and so I don't think it's ever over for anybody. You kind of want to keep on going and doing new things. So it's there's really no end to that, right? It's ongoing.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was bringing up because I do this because I want people to see where you're at, and not to say that's like I said your end point, because you're gonna keep going, and so it's hopefully motivating to those let's say artists, for instance, the beginning artists who maybe they get frustrated because their drawings just don't look as good as what they want, or maybe as good as what they see from you guys. And it's like everybody had a starting point, everybody had a point where they had to keep working at it until they got to a level that was able to get them closer to that goal. And even at that, when they reached the goal, they just started working toward another one. So like you said, it's never over, but that's a good thing, right? It's definitely not a negative thing.
Definitely. And
so,
especially in the design profession, there's constantly new tools coming out to help you do new things, and there's new trends in design and all these things that you want to keep on top of and make yourself aware of, so that you can do different things and keep pursuing it, but expanding on the work that you're already doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Jay, I do want to thank you so much for joining myself and the Magic Cheers today. I know
thank you for having me.
It's not a problem at all. I really, really love doing this, and I love being able to talk to people such as yourself, and I know the listeners definitely love to listen to people like yourself because, again, you got there a little before we did. We're working toward our goal. You got there a little before we did, but we're all in this together, and that's what I love about it, because hopefully your story inspired and encouraged someone else today. So thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today, Jay.
Great, thank you.
Staying determined is so much easier said than done, right? I mean, it's a difficult thing to not lose sight of that goal and dream. And in this case with Jay's story, I really loved it because I think a lot of us can relate to it as well. It's a lot easier for us to kind of get that mindset of, okay, I need to focus on my dream or goal when things aren't going good. We say we got to stay determined when things aren't looking the way that they're, that we feel they should be doing. But what about those times when things are going okay? And, speaking with Jay here and talking with him about how he was actually working in different companies and, he was able to stay determined with that goal and dream that he had, despite the fact that these companies weren't necessarily bad. He wasn't having a terrible experience, and what's even more interesting to me about this is he's here at these, different jobs where he's working and he's enjoying it. And he has this mindset of going to work for Disney that he's had for so much time, even though he has no guarantee that he will actually enjoy being with Disney. You know what I mean? And when you think about that, it's exciting because it shows how powerful your determination can be. I know he went through the internship and everything, but when you get hired on, especially for what Jay is doing, I'm sure he would agree to this. But when you're hired on, your responsibilities change. You're expected a little more is expected of you on how you deal, with your job than maybe doing an internship or even working, in some type of other field that you'd be in. When you get actually hired on for a certain, for that job that you've been wanting, your ideas, your thoughts change. And so my thing is, when you are safe in a different place, it's easy to lose that determination, and it's easy to lose your focus because you say, I'm okay here. Like, I'm happy. I'm fine. Why do I want to take the risk? And that's why, speaking with Jay and him saying those words, it couldn't be ring truer than that. I mean, you have to stay determined through the good as well as through the bad, because the bad, of course, it's easy to stay focused. When you do hate your job, it's easy to be like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm going to, follow my dream. or when you do, hate the situation you're in, if you're trying to lose weight and you hate being, the way you are, you say, well, I want to lose weight, and that's great. But what about the times, when things are good? You have to maintain that, determination to say, I had a goal and I'm going to pursue it. And once I get to that goal, of course, now you dream a whole different dream, a bigger dream to achieve. So I really, really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to share it with a family, friend, loved one, or even your worst enemy. It doesn't matter. Share some of the inspiration and encouragement that Jay shared with us today, please. It really will help someone else's day get better, and that's what this show is all about. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a nice, wonderful, great night, day, weekend, whenever you're listening to this. As always, stay magical.
This was the Talk About the Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay magical.